There we go. Okay. I'm gonna, yeah. That's annoying. What am I looking for? Oh, yeah, you. Stream titles. Somewhere. Fuck. There it is. I didn't fucking redo that. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. Oops. Let's do that properly.
Report, I'm Amy Goodman. France and Spain are bracing for another heat wave as thousands of firefighters and troops continue to battle unprecedented fires that have forced over 360,000 people to evacuate their homes. In a town in eastern Spain, residents describe devastating scenes from this weekend.
It was like in the movies, where hell cracked the ground open, and you see the red hell. That's how it was here. On Saturday night, this hill was horrific. In this area with houses, there were flames 15 to 20 meters tall. It was an atrocity. I can't describe the helplessness that a person feels to see their home, their neighbors' homes, their town, their neighborhood burning.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez linked the fires to the escalating climate emergency.
What we are living is not a succession of isolated events. As has been said before, it is the most painful expression of a climate emergency that is making sixth-generation wildfires more voracious, heat waves more frequent, and as a result, our territory more vulnerable. This is no longer an exception, it is the new reality. Summers are becoming increasingly difficult, destructive, and therefore deadly.
Here in the United States, major fires in Oregon have burned more than 1 million acres of land and forced the closure of Interstate 84 for some 70 miles. According to the Oregon Department of Forestry, there are dozens of active large fires burning across the state. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, fires have burned about 68,000 acres in Superior National Forest and nearby areas. The Washington Post reports the Biden administration had approved $10 million to thin out Superior National Forest to help prevent fires. But last year, the Trump administration's DOGE program paused or canceled nearly all the Forest Service's grant projects and funds. A former U.S. Forest Service district ranger
I'm Amy Goodman.
said, quote, had that work been implemented, it would have been effective in stopping or slowing down these fires. President Trump is hosting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today for the first time since the U.S. and Israel launched their war against Iran 5 months ago. The meeting comes as Trump weighs his next steps in Iran. On Friday, Trump paused strikes after 2 weeks of attacks. On Monday, he told Axios, quote, we are in very deep talks with Iran. If they don't work out, we'll go back to very strong military action, he said. In June, Trump and Netanyahu reportedly had a tense phone call with Trump repeatedly calling the Israeli prime minister, quote, effing crazy. Netanyahu will also attend today's funeral for Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who died on July 11th. Over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal published an excerpt from an unreleased documentary showing Senator Graham cheering on the U.S. strikes on Iran.
Look what we've done here.
I know.
I almost cried.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how long have we been pushing this?
Well, I mean, you've been pushing this for years, right?
Right. It's here. I talked to Trump this morning.
It's literally.
Oh, he's jacked.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I've ever done. He loves blowing stuff up. So, you know, there are a lot of people inside didn't want to do it. So I've had my challenges.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I mean, obviously it's clipped, but like, what a weird thing to say.
He will also meet with President Trump and then attend Graham's funeral.
Oh, Trump calling someone crazy? I mean, that's exactly what you would expect from someone like him. He most definitely abuses every tactic you could probably imagine within like the psychological abuser textbook.
Zelensky's
projection is what it is.
Visit comes days.
He's kind of like a manipulative abuser, so.
After a Russian ballistic missile struck a large military technology and drone exhibition near Kyiv that had been organized to show off Ukraine's drone technology. The attack killed at least 10 people and injured close to 100. Meanwhile, Ukraine has attacked a major Russian
100?
fuel storage depot.
Wait, what? From a drone?
Funeral struck a large military technology and drone exhibition near Kyiv that had been organized to show off Ukraine's drone technology. The attack killed
These are just citizens.
At least 10 people and injured close to 100. Meanwhile, Ukraine has attacked a major Russian fuel storage depot located more than 800 miles from the Ukrainian border.
Whoa.
The Ugandan government has started distributing emergency
That's fucking far, bro. They're in deep shit, aren't they?
Food relief after 19 people reportedly died in the east of the country due to prolonged drought. The Famine Early Warning Systems Network, a global mapping network on food security, reported conditions of drought in the Karamoja region of Uganda. Crops have failed due to inadequate rain, leaving 1.5 million people in the area to face food shortages.
It's 1,300 kilometers? Whoa. I mean, Russia's going to probably mobilize like, I mean, they can still mobilize a lot of people, but Russia has been neglecting doing that. But Russia's going to have to mobilize a ton of troops. I don't think that's going to work out that well since he's waited so long, but let's hope Ukraine can withstand that, because right now Russia doesn't have a plan that can win. Ukraine, in the drone warfare they've been using now, can like interrupt the assault groups as they try and get ready before they assault, right? Yeah, you saw that too then, right, Ollie? There's like a few things that Russia's doing that makes me feel like they're going to like they're putting the framework in place for sure.
And malnutrition. This comes as the World Food Program has been forced to drastically scale back aid to Uganda after significant funding cuts, most recently from USAID.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry to hear that. Are you Ukrainian, or is it some not that close or adjacent? Oh. Hmm. I do want to point out, Photo, that there's been many wars in history that ultimately, like, were very unpopular, but nonetheless, depending on how the institution can will the population to go to war, I guess we'll have to find out. But I mean, you can think of like World War One, for instance. The Germans, I think, were kind of on board with going to war, but much of France, no, France was the one that had that like weird, how do I put this? Like mythical idea of like offense or whatever associated with them, right? But well, I hope those ones win. Putin's kind of got a fascist or authoritarian grip over that country. I don't really know if he qualifies as a fascist. I know he was a populist, and I think you could probably say that, or there's an argument I've heard that his government is somewhat of a fascist government, right? I haven't really looked into it enough to know whether or not I can make or like form an opinion, but usually if a fascist government comes to power, it is pretty hard to like overcome through independence that way, right? Because it's a slow process that builds up, and then that's when it ultimately like turns to something else, right? But that war pisses me off.
The Trump administration filed an emergency application to the Supreme Court to allow an executive order that would restrict voting by mail.
What? Who looked at you like you were crazy? Russians did? That's kind of interesting. I guess that kind of plays into the idea of what I'm talking about. Like a big problem with like authoritarian fascist style governments is the fact that the state, and I say this line a lot, but the state is like uniquely super close to everyone, and it's also just really far away. So to like come together or act together to overcome like authoritarian governments in this way, or like fascist ones, is difficult because you don't really know what to do. Like, am I going to go, like the average German, are they going to go walk up to a concentration camp or a labor camp, is how they started out, and just like what do you do? It's really far from you, for one, most of the time. And there's a lot of uncertainty around it, right? So it makes these types of these decisions or actions that we think should be just like simple, right? Just rise up, take it over. It becomes really difficult. I think his best moment was 2014, right?
This comes after a federal appeals court blocked key parts of the executive order over the weekend. The Supreme Court has until August 3rd to respond. Under Trump's executive order, the Department of Homeland Security would create state-by-state lists of eligible voters who are citizens. The U.S. Postal Service would then use the lists provided by states to assess if voters should be allowed to vote by mail. In Michigan, Democratic Senate candidates Dr. Abdul El-Sayed and Congressmember Haley Stevens sparred on Monday in the final debate before next Tuesday's primary. It's one of the most closely watched Senate races in the country. The debate moderator, Roop Raj, questioned Stevens about receiving funding from AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Congresswoman, specifically about AIPAC money, more than $46 million has been spent on AIPAC spending to back your campaign. A lot of people wonder if that is something where you're going to do their bidding should you win this seat. Is that something people should be concerned about? And if not, why not?
Absolutely not, Roop. Look, I have been very clear, consistent, and transparent, and I have continued to.
Should have practiced this in the mirror a little bit more, eh? Look, I have been very clear.
I want to see long-term peace. I want to see a two-state solution. I am deeply proud to represent one of the largest Jewish populations in a congressional district in the country.
During the debate, Dr. El-Sayed repeatedly criticized Congressmember Stevens for taking AIPAC money.
So I just want to say the difference between us is $46 million of AIPAC spending. They've set a record in this race to help elect my opponent because they know that she'll be a reliable vote, just like she took last week to send your tax dollars to a foreign government that is aiding, arming, and abetting the very people who want to foreclose on the possibility of Palestinian self-determination.
ICE is reportedly stepping up plans to arrest and deport Haitian migrants, as hundreds of thousands of Haitians are set to lose their status under
it's fucking crazy.
TPS, the Temporary Protected Status Program. The Supreme Court last month sided with the Trump administration to end TPS for Haitians and Syrians. According to an internal government document, the plans to round up and deport Haitian immigrants could start this week. Guerline Joseph, executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance, said, quote, "Once again, our community members find themselves
it's just so dumb.
In a state of extreme trauma, fear, and terror. One of them told me it feels like a tsunami or an earthquake with non-stop aftershocks," she said. The Trump administration's issued new regulations that could result in hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers being sent directly to deportation proceedings instead of giving them a chance to be interviewed first by an asylum officer. The rule could impact 440,000 cases. Doris Meisner, the director of the U.S. Immigration Policy Program at the Migration Policy Institute, said, quote, "The ultimate impact of making this change certainly seems to be to try to deny as many cases as possible without regard to the fairness of the determination," unquote. This comes as the Trump administration has fired more than 100 immigration judges and replaced them with military lawyers and former for prosecutors for the Department of Homeland Security.
What?
The Justice Department dropped its case against SEIU union leader David Huerta. Last year, he was charged with obstructing an officer after being arrested while protesting ICE raids in Los Angeles. Video from the event showed a masked officer shoving Huerta to the ground during the demonstration. In a statement, Huerta said the Trump DOJ, quote, is finally admitting what we knew from day one and what was obvious to anyone who saw the videos. The charge against me was baseless, meant to intimidate anyone who dares to speak out, organize, or demand justice, Union President Huerta said. In Brazil, the eldest son of jail...
I mean, you know my opinion. The number one thing I get from most people, is whenever I call Trump a fascist, right, and my country is descending into fascism, is the first thing that always happens is, well, most people just use that word incorrectly. And, I have to be like, okay, I understand that. Categorically, though, and definitionally, he just is, whether I like him or not. And then the second part is like, Trump has kind of said so himself explicitly, right? And I get, he's just not a good fascist. Which is like, well, that's my point, is like, a lot of people say he's not a good fascist, and I don't know how to like make it any more clear that like, I don't really know if that matters, right? I mean, aren't his intentions enough? Just because he hasn't figured out how to ruin or destroy our institutional, country yet from the ground up is not a good thing. But I always find that funny. But he has figured it out, and he's done it kind of intelligently. ICE is somewhat of a novel agency. It was made in 2003, and there is no independent body that's capable of investigating ICE right now outside of the own DOJ, which is not that normal. For older institutions, that's not the case. And then technically Congress can do it, but Trump is kind of smart. He curated the Republican Party first, so they're no longer the Republican Party. People are like, why isn't Congress acting? And it's like, because Trump, again, I think the number one thing people have not understood about Trump is the fact that he has handpicked every single fucking congressional member in this country using social media. Back in the day, it was send your brown shirts, right? But Trump kind of figured out how to use social media to intimidate other people before anyone else. And it's worked. It's worked. It's just right under everyone's noses too. It's crazy. Like if I'm gonna try and show his true socials really fast, because he just does this every day by default. Oh, he's got it blocked now. Wow. So every single race in this country, he essentially is out here, okay, choosing who wins. And he's been doing this for like 10 years. 10 years, okay? Most of these are going to be him just like calling out names. I'm gonna have to go to his fucking real true social, aren't I? I don't want to do that. How to pronounce my name? Circa. It's technically, there's not supposed to be an R. I used to stream League of Legends like a long time ago, like high level League of Legends, and I forgot how to access that account. So You just have to deal with me. So, yeah, I mean, nonstop. He's usually just calling out who needs to win. You know, Lil Wayne praises Trump.
Ties that whole conversation together perfectly.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. These
Yeah, that was the only
icons.
I did meet Miss, who was the vice president?
Kamala.
Oh,
Miss-
yeah. I had to perform like, probably like 2 years ago at the White House.
Oh, wow.
But I'm so glad to hear Trump say, when they was mad at him about building a ballroom, and he was like, because everything we do, we have to do it on the damn lawn.
Yeah.
So people who don't know nothing hearing that thinking he just being, no, for real. I was glad to hear him say that, because when I got there and had to perform, I was like, why is it in the back? I was like, what? I was like, I can't go in? I like, so what I can't? I was like, so they don't want me to, what, this is a backyard barbecue?
Yeah.
No, that's literally where they do everything at.
Yeah.
And I had to find out.
So there's a good logistical
okay,
reason.
cool.
Okay, that's good to know. Have you ever forgotten the words? Of course, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Miss Kamala was requesting songs. It was going crazy. They got the
Going crazy. Going crazy, bro. Going absolutely crazy out here. Okay, so going back to Donald Trump. I don't know why I clicked on that. Really doesn't like Elizabeth Warren. What is this, dude? What are you doing, Trump? Still post them as rallies, though. Who the fuck are they? You're making me look bad, Trump. Okay. Trump endorsed candidate pledges entire 174K salary to wounded Iraq War veterans family. Nice. Trump card. Wow. Oh my god, bro. Jew derangement syndrome. Anyways, this is what I was looking for. Shit like this. Okay, so John Thune should not allow the United States Senate to leave town until it passes the Save American Act. So his use of social media to personally target as well as fund or determine who wins in Congress is something no one else does, and it seems like no one else realizes it because he's captured Congress because of this very fact. If you take the time to go into like the House of Representatives and you look at when the shift happened for newer Republicans in the House, Senate is a little bit different. A few of them are long-standing senators. They just had to co-opt. They had to bend the knee. If you didn't, you're gone. Mitt Romney, gone. And certain other people I can't think of off the top of my head, but you know, people like Chuck Grassley bent the knee. Ted Cruz, and I'm trying to think of some other fucks. Where's the fucking... Shouldn't they have like an entire... My god, I hate this website. Looks like it's a fucking 95, like Windows 95, bro. God damn. When was Mike Johnson put in? 2017? Okay. So, again, since he became president the first time, he's done non-stop in doing this, okay? So, once we get to... Blah, 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 blah. Where is the actual people? This is Mike Johnson still. So there we go. Congress. It's for the Senate. And that. Holy fuck. Wait, what? Oh my god, that's it. When to a party like that, you're annoying. Don't we have like a timeline thing? There we go. List of current representatives. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, she's kind of. I don't know. What I do know is that she doesn't give me the impression that she would try and be a fascist like Trump. So a lot of people in the political, you sucker, you cocksucker. What? Me? I'm not Jewish. No, Trump. The funny thing is, Trump actually cares nothing about Jewish people. The moment Israel becomes disadvantageous to him, the moment he drops Israel. That's a fact. Imagine thinking Trump actually does care about Jews. It's funny. One thing in his life he's going to suddenly start caring about is Jewish people. You're out of your fucking mind, dude. But judging by these comments, seems like you don't really like Jewish people. Is that the only way you can be racist? Wait, let me write this down. I'm learning. Okay, so just so I get this right, okay? I don't want to be wrong, okay? We have, it looks like this, right? We have two options. Right? Two options. The first one is kill fucking everyone, right? Correct? And the second one is don't kill everyone. Right? And then it's a simple flow chart from there, right? So we have if you're number one, then you're racist, and if you're number two, you're just not racist though, right? Non-whites aren't human. Interesting. Are you white? Curious. Are you sure? I don't know. Someone who would be saying what you're saying doesn't really give me a lot of confidence that you would be smart enough to know that too. But I also want to point out that blood tests won't really tell you whether you're white or not. It's not really how biology works. Where are you from? Danish. I'm also Danish. Or the Pennsylvania Dutch, not Danish? I don't know. Okay, so German is right next to Denmark, right? So, but then actually I could be wrong on this. One sec. I'm not really that. I'm not that like well versed in my, whiteness. Okay, even though I kind of look like Hitler's dream child. I'm not white. Interesting. You're from the Rhineland, which is right next to Denmark, right? So not exactly Swiss, but it's fine. I'm not really sure why you're bringing up Switzerland. Kind of weird. Seems like I was right. You don't think I have blue eyes? Are you out of your mind? I have... It doesn't matter. That's funny. What color are they, dude? The Amish? Well, what would the Amish have to do with anything? Man, I can't keep up with you. Are you, like, having an episode or something, man? Amish or Pennsylvania Dutch? All Amish? All of them. All of them. Are you sure about that? Because it seems like they need to originate from the Palatinate region, I guess. But even then, it's not enough time to like determine. We're talking about 3 centuries here, man. You don't think that's enough time to determine like whiteness, right? Yeah, right, Molotov. Yeah, it's your strongest take. Holy fuck, it's a difficult one to overcome. Okay, so Masha, here, focus up. Come on, pay attention. So, to be Pennsylvanian Dutch, okay, as far as I can tell, I'm doing some research, okay, you need to have originated from the Palatinate region of Germany, which is near Denmark. It's in the Rhineland, so I wasn't exactly that far off. I don't know why you're weird about that. Now, what I want to ask you, okay, can you pay attention so we can determine what the hell is happening? Yes, maybe. I take him back. Fucking. So you say you're Pennsylvanian Dutch, right? And that makes you white? Maybe he ran out of internet. You descend from Germans, okay. So, what exactly makes you just white, though? Or, like, the white? 3 centuries is not enough time to, like, determine super whiteness, right? European blood? Okay. What about before Pennsylvania Dutch? Do you have any idea what's going on with your bloodline before that? Scythian? Is that, you mean then? Not then, right? Is that what's happening? That's you're talking about like the ancient Eastern nomadic people, right? Well, what are you trying to say? And your typing gets really slow now whenever you need to fucking say real things. What's going on here? I'm getting bored. Sumeria is most definitely somewhere where you would probably say they're not white. Are you aware of this? Sumeria is in modern day Tigris and Euphrates, Babylon, where Uller, the city of Uller, was 3000 BCE. So I think you need to look up what the fuck you're talking about, because you just kind of accidentally said you're not white, but you are white because 3 centuries in a region of Germany that sounds like the upper roof of your fucking mouth makes you somehow uniquely positioned over other people. And I find that stupid as fuck. Do you not find that stupid as fuck? Really? Thousands of years ago, they didn't exist, even though, you know, geographically, ethnically, Jewish people and Arab people are Semitic language based, which, funny enough, is got a very old history. But doesn't that mean that you're a mix of whites and subhumans? Aren't you a mix then? If you come from the Sumerians or the Scythian? Funny thing is that the Scythians were nomadic people who most definitely would not just be simply white. So both options you chose make you uniquely excluded from your fantasy of white people purity. Okay, well, the Scythians were essentially like nomadic people that were on the Eurasian steppe. And Sumeria is not in Europe. Okay, so the Eurasian steppe does end up in northern part of Iran, but the Scythians were not. Okay, in most of Iran, they were just on the Eurasian steppe of it. So, like the very north side of the mountains where Azerbaijan is and stuff. Are you gonna say something worth a damn, or just move on? It doesn't really fucking matter how I say it. What matters is why don't you understand it? I could call it fucking Scythian if I wanted to. Okay? Isn't it more important to understand why you're fucking wrong? It's a nomadic people, man. Like, you'd have to be stupid to think a nomadic tribe people that existed fucking sporadically and nomadically again across the Eurasian steppe is somehow like pure white. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Are you using the Bible's depiction of this? Because that's where it comes from, right? The Bible? I thought you didn't like the Bible. The Bible's not exactly historical, a historical accurate piece of work here, so I don't really know what to tell you. The Canaanites, the Amalekites, the Hittites, all of these tribes were essentially just early Jewish communities that were the same thing as Israel. One of them just won out. What white source talks about the Amalekites? They were the same ethnic group. There is literally zero anthropological record to show there's a difference between the Canaanites and the Israelites. It is a fantasy made up in the Bible. So maybe you did fall for Jewish propaganda. No, the Canaanites were descendants of a specific people, Ham, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he was, in the early in Genesis, it's all thought out, right? But the Bible's not correct here. There is zero archaeological and anthropological evidence to show that there was a difference between Canaanites and Israelites or much of the other early Jewish tribes. One of them won out. That's what happened. And Cain's descendants, like you just mentioned in Genesis, had a specific, I don't want to say curse, but they were marked in Genesis, ancestry tree creation, essentially. I think is Ham and Seb are the kids that, it mentions in Genesis. There's so many fucking names, I can't remember. Really don't care if you don't consider my blabbering, man. I mean, hopefully you're just being ironic. If not, I just kind of feel like you're shitty. I don't know what to tell you, man. I feel like if I actually thought the way you did, I would have ended my life a long time ago. I just don't really know how someone can be alive and think the way you do. It would make me suffer. I don't know. It's hard enough living in a world without as much hate and anger, which I do have. I can't imagine living in a world like that. I never said I was weak. I'd probably fucking end you, dude. Okay? I'm talking about internally in Minecraft. Internally. Okay? I'm talking about... Yeah, sure. Hope you can run fast. Talking about when you walk by the mirror and, because I personally believe that the only person you really need to answer to yourself after every day is yourself. So it's not about deserving to live or deserving or whether you're weak or blah, 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 blah. Maybe. For fun. Okay. Do you know how fast you are? I don't know. Maybe you were fast. Let's find out. Do you know what a 400 meter is? Or maybe, yeah, you should know what a 400 meter is, right? I run fast. Athleticism is kind of like a lucky thing. Okay. I've always been just brutally athletic. I don't know, it's just how I am. There's obviously hard work that goes into it, but no amount of hard work is going to, like, you know, turn you into LeBron or someone, or like Usain Bolt, you know. I'm not like that, but I'm debating a white supremacist right now. Hey, me too. Well, I do work out though, so. See? Except I do work out, so. I'm curious. Do you know what a 400 is? Like a 400 meter? Or how about a mile? Do you know, what's your mile time? You know your mile time? Well, you did say that you're talking to the wrong one. I'm super agile. I'm not attacking you. I'm curious. We kind of got close to that, Slayer. So what is your time? You gotta have some idea, right? Aren't you like a pure white man? Shouldn't you like know this? Because you have dominance because you're white on everyone else? What kind of white supremacist doesn't know their fucking times? Also, naturally having a six-pack without working out is called I don't eat enough. So you don't do sports, you don't work out, but you naturally have a six-pack. So the fantastical white supremacist in my chat right now is trying to display this dominant, you know, presentation, this persona. But he like accidentally just gave away the fact that maybe you're just tiny and don't eat enough. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Fuck out of here, dude. Yeah. Exactly. Things like skin color are super relevant, you know what I mean? Some people just need to get fucking rocked. You know what I mean? Just fucking rocked. That's why, Ollie. How do you say your name? Mashiach? Messiah? Mashiach is dead? Mashiach. Who's Mashiach? I had a feeling it wouldn't be your name. Is this the Messiah? It is Messiah. It's eschatology. Yeah, it's Messiah. I had a feeling. So, okay, very curious. You looked up what Jewish eschatology was, right? But seems like you didn't really try to go far enough, because Messiah is not God in Jewish eschatology. So, are you purposely being fucking stupid right now, or did you not know that? You read the Zohar. Even though the Hebrew Bible is the most authoritative text in Judaism, right? You read what a few Jews orally said to each other. Jews do not accept Jesus as the Messiah, correct? He didn't satisfy. That's literally the only difference between Jews and Christians. Jesus, I mean, there's obviously, that might come off rude to Christians, but the reality is that Christians think he satisfied enough of the prophecies. Jews don't. So, sure. You can join my Discord if you'd like, actually. And I think it's in my about section. It might be easier for you. The Bible kind of did say that the Messiah should have appeared quickly. Much of the Old Testament is under the impression that the Messiah was coming any day. That clearly did not happen, but a lot of Christians are not Jew appeasers. I don't even know what the fuck, like, specifically a few of contemporary history have built a relationship with Israel and therefore Jews. But for much of human history, most Christians were not appeasers of Jews. Most Christians don't think he was still a Jew, though, once he became started the Christian church. So. Plus, the early history of Christianity is somewhat complex and a little bit fantastically created, right? So, who's they? Who's they? He thinks inflation is more likely to be transitory? Wait, who's they? Who is they? Who are you talking about? Gnostic Jesus, more alpha.
The Fed's set to kick off its two-day policy meeting. You haven't been paying attention because it is. And as a result, Stephen Myron here, he's a former Fed governor.
Why does this guy look familiar? And holy shiny fucking bald head, man. Jesus Christ. This is Trump's chair of the Economic Council, a Council of Economic Advisors. Don't expect a real opinion from him, okay? Literally don't. He was also the senior advisor for economic strategy during the pandemic. Great. He majored in biochemistry and then switched to economics and philosophy, with a minor in math. He has a doctorate from Harvard in economics. His doctoral advisor was Martin Feldstein, who famously, by the way, guys, was on Reagan's Council of Economic Advisors. He is literally the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors right now, and he developed Trump's tariff policies. Just put that in your head for when you listen to this guy, because you're not going to get a real answer from him.
Senior strategist at Hudson Bay Capital, also former Council of Economic Advisors chair, so you know a lot of the thinking of President Trump on
He developed it.
A lot of different matters. I hesitate to lead a segment with money supply because it's so arcane. We just want to talk about what Warsh is going to do, Warsh and Company will do tomorrow. But I think it's important because it might inform us on what to do. And in the old days, all market players watched the money supply.
We still do. You mean, oh, sorry. Hello, how you doing? Sorry, your name looked like Slayers. Nice to meet you. And that's, I also got distracted by the white supremacist that's in my chat. he's been blowing my brain right now. Monetary base is probably more important for what he's trying to talk about, but California.
And aggregate money growth.
Aggregate money growth and money supply. What the fuck is aggregate money growth? Like, what are you... Thank you. Does it mean like monetary or money supply? That's just another word for it. It's still, all of them are monetary, are money aggregates though, aren't they? I think he means M3 though, I'm assuming. Okay. Broad money? I mean, liquid assets would be a good indicator of how inflation would look, but like, I feel like monetary base would be what you'd... I mean, technically, all of them together, but...
Your work, which you're bringing back, I think, because Warsh pays attention to it, we're at neutral right now.
We are most definitely not. What?
Yeah, I think that's the...
What is fucking... Need to do year over year. Are you serious? In the past year, we fucking climbed like 20% of the spike in 2020. The hell is he talking about? The monetary base has. The fuck is he talking about? Yeah, doing fine. Yep, doing fine. fuck happened there? What? Is that the government shutdown? Why don't we, how does that even happen?
Takeaway from our work. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's been very clear from Chairman Warsh's statements and writings
I'm going to keep my pet.
over the course of decades that he cares about the money supply.
Pat him on the head. Wow, good comment. Mashiach is dead. Keep going, little.
And so what I did with my colleagues at Hudson Bay, Nouri Urbini and also Peter Ireland, a professor at Boston College, we delved into the literature on this to look at the state of the academic field on it. And
oh, surely I accept Solana. I do not have any Solana. The joke coin.
And money supply and monetarism more broadly used to be super influential in the setting of monetary policy. As you said, everyone looked at it every week, right?
Every week.
And then after a few bad predictions, monetarism really lost a lot of its shine.
Into Solano? You're out of your fucking mind.
And then it eventually became disused and people stopped looking at the money supply and the Fed stopped monitoring it. What we find in the paper as we surveyed the literature is that a lot of the reason why people stopped paying attention to money supply is because they just weren't measuring it correctly. As financial...
I'm curious. Could you tell me? I don't know, man. Could you tell me what Solana actually does? Have you read the white paper for it? What is Solana actually doing? Do you think this white paper is going to have probative? What do we think? Sure, if you can tell me what this coin is supposed to do. What problem is it solving? Anything?
Innovation occurs as new types of...
Oh, so you have no idea what this coin is supposed to do, why it was made, what problem it's supposed to solve. And you're like, dude, if you give me $2,000, you tell me you have zero clue what this coin is supposed to do? Not a single fucking idea.
Money become invented, some of those types of money are more for store of value than for transactions. And so if your goal is to predict transactions, the economy, and money supply is growing for store of value purposes, like a money market fund, you're going to make bad predictions. Right? So what some of the modern literature that's developed over the last 10, 12 years has done has been to try to measure money supply better by looking at different types of money and...
Sure. I may not seem like it, okay, because it's kind of like suicide material for me. But if I didn't sell my crypto that I had in 2017, 2016 to pay 2 months of rent before I got evicted anyway, so it was a waste of liquidation of my crypto. It's like $5,000 worth in various coins. It would have been worth, I think, 3.2 million. At the time, at the height of when it, I mean, I don't know if I would have actually made that much because who knows, I probably wouldn't have sold all of it. I'm just curious why you're shilling Solana. Crypto's not really something I think anyone should do right now, but I'm curious why you are shilling Solana.
And how transactions focused they are versus how store of value focused they are. And when you try and weight them like that, in the same way, when you look at inflation, you weight shelter, you weight housing more highly than you weight video games. Because
I wonder why. Are you stupid? No, I'm asking you why you're shilling Solana. Why? Okay. So why is anyone making money on this coin? How about that? What does it do? Oh, so why is it making money?
as people spend more money on housing than they do on video games. When you weight money supply based on how transactions focused a type of money is, you get much, much better predictions. And that addresses a lot of the problems that money supply has had for use for
What the fuck is this guy saying?
money supply based on how transactions focused a type of money is, you get much, much better predictions. And
Based on how transactions focused the money is?
that addresses a lot of the problems that money supply has had for for usability in monetary policy. When you do it this way, you correctly capture the deflationary pressure after the global financial crisis.
It's because everyone lost jobs. And you know what happens when people lose their jobs, right?
Which is something that, if you remember the endless op-eds and columns that M2 was exploding because of QE, there was going to be hyperinflation, that didn't pan.
Okay, so was that really the idea after the financial crisis? I don't think it exploded at all. Correct? Yeah. I have no idea what this dude's talking about. This graph is like linear. Okay? What in the fuck is he talking about? In M1, it can explode, but you know, a little bit of a change. I don't really know what he's talking about. The monetary base is what changed. So again, monetary base is like the Treasury direct what the Treasury holds in circulation, okay? Plus reserve balances. There we go. Fucking Christ. Couldn't remember it. And then money supply, M1, M2, M3 are going to capture different sections of money that's not a part of monetary base. So, am I a leftist? I wouldn't call myself a leftist. No, I'm an independent, but I definitely have like leftist views too. I'm sure.
Out, and we still had sustained deflation, right?
Right.
You measure money correctly, you get that right.
And
not
then
wrong.
after the pandemic, you can.
What does against here mean? I don't know. I'm asking you. Okay. Because you're being a prick. I was trying to not, show the obvious problem with your question, but what does it mean to be against the United States? Do you mean like I'm against the administration? Or what if I think being against the administration is being in favor of the United States? Would you call it against them? His administration does not hold any of the United States values, I think. So, because your question doesn't actually tell me anything about what you want me to say, why don't you try specificity? More of what? Are you saying I'm a communist? What is happening? Meanwhile, I have like a 40-page critique on communism here.
Totally see what happened.
Absolutely. After the pandemic, even the most cursory look at money would have told you, hey, this inflation is going to be big. It's going to be persistent. You better get ahead of it and do something.
There's so many more forms of money to be used as transaction than there used to be even in 2008. You think about new forms now. How do you keep track of, keep measuring those things? What did you have to
What? What?
do to feel like you really had your hands around it?
Yeah, so fortunately, we didn't actually do the measurement ourselves because there's other researchers out there, other academics who do the measurements.
Yeah, and it's categorized into the same thing we always use because the functionality of the transaction or the money in the transaction is what we determine it by.
We use there's a Center for Financial Stability, which does a lot of the measuring of these things, and we use their data that they generously make available. But we reported on the studies, and we modernized and updated the studies for today's data. And as Joe said before, what we find when we do this is right now, monetary policy.
It's not like post-pandemic.
It's not
at all.
It's not like it at all. Right now, through this lens, monetary policy looks pretty neutral, which.
Are you sure about that? I could have sworn that the Federal Reserve, one of the most recent stupid fucking E button on my computer is driving me crazy. Where is it? I'm an American, so I support America. I don't know what the fuck. Your questions are stupid. Deltoid, what are you doing? Do better. Where the fuck is it, dude? I'm looking for major release. Yeah. Oh, the release calendar. Is that it? Go backwards? Jesus Christ. Report. I think this is it. In 2025, it didn't look good, if I remember correctly. Where's the standard deviation they had on each individual governor's fucking charts was fucking insane, dude. Where the fuck is it? What? What? If an outsider were to look at me, how would you support for America show? I don't fucking have to do any of that. I don't have to prove any of that to any other person on planet Earth. So I don't fucking care. You could just listen to what I say. There's literally no reason for me to lie to you. Now, what I will tell you is that how about this? Why don't we turn it around a little, okay? Do you support Donald Trump? Yes or no? It's a pretty easy question. I'm not a Christian. Are you able to answer a question straight? I said, do you support Donald Trump? Yes or no? I have this on my desk at all times, by the way. As well as this. Believe it or not. Did he say yes, Nat, or to my rereading chat? Is this the same guy? Sounds like the same guy. Taking a long time to type yes or no, man. What is happening? Fucking every one of these motherfuckers, dude. They take very long to type yes or no. I don't know why. Where in the world? There we go. Do you support Donald Trump? Yes or no? I drink your milkshake. None of them. None of them would be. But it sure seems like you don't want to answer my question. Your mom. I already told you I'm not a communist. I Where the fuck is it? I mean, I welcome communists. I'm fine with communists. I think the abolition of capital is not a good idea, as far as I can tell. Hey, man. I don't know. I don't know if I do. It's not like I don't have to have these conversations that often in my stream. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. We were still watching McMoron fucking say things. Where'd he go? There he is. Fuck.
Fed set to
I don't know where I am anymore.
kick off.
We use there's a Center for Financial Stability, which does a lot of the
I work out every day. Literally every day.
measuring of these things, and we use their
It's like I need the ritual. Literally every day.
data that they generously make available. But we reported on the studies, and we modernized and updated the studies.
This guy, bro. Why would you need one? Is this your way of saying that you would need one, or what? So confused. I'm just like, yeah, I don't ego lift, so I probably do need like a deload week though. That's probably true.
Studies for today's data. And as Joe said before, what we find when we do this is right now, monetary policy.
It's not like post-pandemic.
It's not
at all.
It's not like it at all. Right now, through this lens, monetary policy looks pretty neutral, which tells you that to the extent that we've had higher inflation readings in the last 6 to 9 months.
Persistent.
Someone who deletes the PPI, okay, is not giving me confidence that they are excited about these numbers in the future. Not good. Economics is a lag. It has a lot of lag to it, so. Plus, Trump is quite literally eliminating a large parts of the CPI in order to make himself look better. So, and he's said so as much, especially with his. Maybe he's taking it off now because it's been long enough, but there used to be a little graphic thing for it. Your news release starts. Where is it? Motherfuckers. Whatever.
Might be temporary. Actually,
abandon it for a boat-related economy only. What if you don't live next to the ocean? What are we talking about? Is this the strongest argument? Yeah? What if you live like anywhere like here? It's a lot of square kilometers. Well, it's easy for you in the UK. Kind of. How many square? Say you're like here. Holy fuck, the UK is small. Maybe like switch this to Oxford a little. I don't know. That's too close to the water. There. Leeds for sure. Too close to the water. Exactly. I'm not going to be able to tell you. I can give you an approximate. Wide like this. Do wide like this. From sea to shining sea. 700 kilometers. God damn.
Really transitory this time.
It's much more likely to be transitory. It's much more likely to be temporary this time because it's...
Because why? I find that interesting because the stimulus that we had, okay, went right back into the economy, obviously, which makes it de facto more transitory. How exactly is a war in Iran, disruption of labor pools, labor supply, I mean, for agriculture, as well as destructive tariffs, with no plan really in place beforehand, remotely fucking transitory? Tariffs are sticky as well. So if you put tariffs on stuff, businesses are like extremely adaptable. Yeah. Like businesses are not stupid. They adapt very quickly. So what's going to happen is they're going to find new logistics, distribution, you name it. And then if you take the tariff off, you can't just expect them to now come back if they've made commitments and contracts. This is what happened with beef already. India buys a bunch of beef from the US. When we put tariffs on them, that stopped. Then they just went to Australia instead. Now we can't get our beef contracts back, and that's one of the reasons he had to bail out farmers for tons of money right now. So, transitory my fucking ass.
It's not driven by policy. It's not driven by monetary policy. It's not driven by fiscal policy.
Are tariffs not inevitably fiscal policy? I guess it's not fiscal policy.
And so as a result of that, because that would show up in money also, right?
Fiscal policy would show up in money? I would assume so.
Money supply doesn't care what the origin of the money is.
That's simply not true. Money supply most definitely cares whether it's done from the Treasury or whether it's private loan creation. That's why we segment out money supply by different types and whether it's liquid.
The money originates at the Fed, or originates from Treasury or international.
It most definitely does. That's why we have a monetary base. This matters a lot for debt liquidity, so we don't go bankrupt. That's why we don't require reserves anymore, though, apparently.
Nationally, right? If it were policy driven, it would be showing up in the money supply, and that's not happening.
Isn't money supply going up? We just looked at that. It is. What do you mean? Didn't monetary base show like an actual fucking... I swear to God. In the past year, it seems to be going up, at least monetary base, but I doubt it's more monetary base and more like something like M1. This is not showing up in the... What does he think is not showing up, dude? Like, we should be still careening back down, don't you think? This looks like literally a fucking error on the chart, right? Because 2020 PPP loans, Trump was in charge of administrating them, fucking frauded $1 trillion to people who already had money. They went and bought assets, so assets went up like crazy, right? And this is pretty, we'll just do this. Look at that. Crazy, dude. 2020. Where the fuck did that come from? Well, Trump forgave $1 trillion worth of loans to people who did not deserve the money directly off the fucking government spending. Great. Anyways, this should be regressing back to the mean, right? So what do you mean? This to me looks like somehow it's been interrupted. Like coincidentally near your election time.
And so this is telling you higher inflation right now is much more likely to be transitory than it was after the pandemic. And the orthodox.
And after the pandemic, when you looked at it at these, it showed that there really was a serious increase, and we should have noticed that it was not going to be transitory.
It was transitory. Are you fucking stupid? I swear to God. It was about a year and a half. What do you mean? It was de facto transitory.
Absolutely. These would have been...
It was longer because some of it was not transitory. Think of housing, assets alone, but not everyone can buy assets. So in the consumer economy, though, it was absolutely transitory.
You
know, 5-alarm fires.
And people that say that all it was supply chain disruptions that no one could have controlled that caused the inflation, this puts that notion to rest, doesn't it?
How? How? It obviously was not just supply chain interruptions. I don't know who the fuck only said that, but...
Yeah, I think that this type of analysis is heavily indicative that the supply chain analysis was not the major driver of the inflation that we had, or even if you really think that the supply chain problems we had were a major driver.
They were.
That they were the type of driver that monetary policy had a responsibility to counteract.
I would hope that your government tries to do something, right? Are we stupid? Maybe not to the degree of the Federal Reserve, creating an unlimited amount of monetary base, obviously, but you'd have to be stupid to think that doing nothing is better, right?
I see. So either way, there were mistakes at the Fed. So then, did the case you just made make us think that the Fed stays on hold tomorrow?
Well, so that's my read, is that the Fed should stay on hold, based on this, but also based on...
He's one of Trump's deltoid. This dude is was Trump's Council of Economic Advisors, the head. Are you serious? He's the one who's fucking written all of this crap. Oh my God. Talking about, bro. Trump supporters, they know less about fucking Trump than anyone else on planet Earth, because I feel like most of them know that he sucks ass, but they just, they don't want to actually deal with that fucking reality, because he sucks ass, dude. Like, everything you see here, all of these research. No, Trump, whatever. I don't think I said that unclear. Like, all of these are stupid as fuck. This one, he's responsible for this shit, which, if you don't know what this means private retailers, venture capitalists, accredited investors, fucking hedge funds, are allowed to, which Trump has done, by the way, they can take your retirement plans, your 401ks, which are supposed to be regulated to where companies can't do this. Okay? But Trump is allowing hedge funds to take literally retirement money and just throw that into fucking whatever they feel like. Trump nominated this guy. Who do you think needs to be accountable? Nominate. Nominate. And you aren't criminally responsible. Last time I checked, Twitch is not the federal government, and neither is Discord. So your analogy is not very probative, right? Do you need elections to become the mod of my Discord? Is there institutional systems in which those elections would happen to be the mod of my Discord? Is there some constitutional framework surrounding the entire country around my Discord? Is there fundamental rights to vote on the mod enshrined into the constitutional and institutional investment into my Discord? Any of that? Okay, moving on.
Everything else that's going on in the economy. I mean, look at it this way. In June, you had a unanimous vote to hold rates constant. Since June, the inflation data have been very favorable.
I don't know. I like Grand. And I freak out on him too. So.
Right? We had a marginally negative core CPI month-on-month print.
Wow. If only that mattered. What does core CPI do again? It gets rid of, oh wait, the two things that people care about and need to care about the most. Food and energy. Keep doing that one. Would I hire glasses guy? No. I'd sooner clean my toilet with his fucking head than I would hire him for economics.
So I don't know what type of reaction function would say, in June, I thought.
I was thinking to myself, like, there's not that many, right? Like, there's not that many. So.
I thought it was appropriate to hold rates steady, but then I had a negative core CPI print, and that's what pushed me over the edge to think I.
Did he say in June? Is that because? Wait a minute. I'm remembering something. So he's talking about what the day after you know, it was like a month after Trump announced this $600 billion deal with Saudi Arabia, and then Saudi Arabia, okay? Although technically he's talking about core inflation. So this wouldn't include that, but now I think about it. Month by month. Funny thing is that core inflation is historically going to be more lagged than regular inflation. And he's using core inflation because he doesn't want to include the things that contribute the most, the fastest, whatever gets passed through or whatever is going to raise inflation the fastest, which is energy and food. Again, two things people care about the most. No one really cares if, like, say, recreation doesn't go up that much yet. It's also going to take a little bit longer for it, so it is still climbing though, so I'm not really sure what argument he's trying to make right now.
I have to hike. Right. I have a hard time imagining what type of reaction function would say core CPI being negative is what pushed me over the edge to hike.
It's not negative.
Okay, how about the argument that people come up with that for 5 years the Fed has been above its anticipated range of inflation?
After COVID, this is fucking obvious that it would be.
How and when do you have to deal with that?
So credibility is important, but the way that credibility manifests in monetary policy is through inflation expectations.
For which you decided to just throw away from your head, I think, Mr. Tariff Man.
And if inflation expectations started peaking upwards beyond the 1-year horizon, i.e. beyond anything transitory.
Dude, What do we think this looks like? $317 to $333. He does kind of sound like income.
That's when you have to really get concerned. And if inflation expectations beyond the 1-year horizon in the forward space started moving up, even I, as one of the most dovish people from the
No, you wouldn't.
The Fed would get absolutely hawkish and say this is the time to tighten. And indeed, when I thought that tightening was appropriate after the pandemic, it was in part because inflation expectations were moving higher. So credibility is not really endangered until you start to see inflation expectations slip, and they've been very well behaved lately.
I think he's somewhat correct in consumer confidence. Or maybe market confidence. I'm actually not sure. I don't really know how to explain that. Part of what he's saying is correct because inflationary expectations are wildly mismatched with what is reality right now. So I don't know.
How can Warsh get to 2% without hiking rates? Is there anything in...
I fucking hate the 2% inflation target. I really do. I'm of the opinion that inflation itself is not exactly that bad. The rate at which inflation changes is far more important. And I think the evidence of historical rates during times of prosperity kind of delete this idea that 2% is somehow what we really need to be at. It also gives you literally zero room at the Fed to like do fiscal policy if you need to. I really don't like the 2% target.
Monetary theory that would allow him to do that. That's what we're trying to figure out. How, short of slowing down the economy, it'd be nice to let the economy run hot and still be able to cut rates. But we think that's the only tool that the Fed has to keep inflation at.
Right? They literally just chose 2% and they're just like, yeah. It's like the primary mechanism that we want to control is the stability, right? So
okay. Is there a way to do it with
They're probably going to continue to go up. In my model, beef I had to somewhat separate from the primary shock basket, right, index, because beef can be impacted by other stuff than my model, but it's also shares a lot of international shipping, so beef would move much quicker than other stuff. Where is beef? Okay, that's not what I wanted. Fucking. There we go. It's up 11.8. Fucking, that's the unadjusted one. The seasonally. .629. Fucking Christ. Well, that's the relative importance for. Never mind. Sorry, that's not. We don't need that. We'll do the special aggregate mixes in. Nope, it's not what I want either. All items. Nope. I need to read it before I click. You think that might help? 12-month. There we go. Fucking Christ. Ground beef is crazy. Let me see cattle futures.
Monetary supply? With money supply?
Well, so money supply would tell you that policy is about neutral right now, right? If you wanted policy to be restrictive, you would want to sort of curtail that money supply.
We just looked at how money supply is quite literally somehow rebounding from that seismograph earthquake error that we saw. What are you looking for?
However, the question that you're asking is, should monetary policy be restrictive? And to me,
should monetary policy be restrictive? Sometimes, yeah. If private banks create too much money supply through lending, then that's going to increase inflation. It's going to reach liquid, cash, and it's going to turn into inflationary pressures or actions and then effects over time. Yeah, we don't want private banks to actually be just creating so much money all the time.
The answer to that is no. In part,
okay, I guess it's no,
because I view the elevated inflation prints as likely to pass out of the data.
I just don't know what the fuck you're looking at. This doesn't look like it's gonna pass out anytime soon, dude.
So, when inflation's running high or low, you need to ask yourself why. And
oh shit, I didn't think about that. Hold on. You mean I just need to ask why?
Right now, we have a situation in which the CPI-PCE relationship is heavily distorted.
That's because you fucking morons eliminated tons of things in the basket because Trump didn't want the numbers to look bad, but he can't do anything about that because this is completely independent. So he just eliminated what he's going to release because he doesn't have control over that. Like, what are we talking about? He doesn't even have it on here anymore, too. It's fucking annoying. What? Oh, babe. What is it? Like, look at all these fucking things that he's doing. This doesn't happen, by the way. Government funding lapsing does not just like suddenly make BLS not be able to get data. That's just a fucking lie. I find that very weird. So there's tons of ways in which he's kind of made it less capable of telling us how inflation's doing, but it's still not looking good. Isn't that weird? They reduced, I think, the amount of indexed items, right? The fuck is it? Doesn't matter.
Normally, CPI, the Consumer Price Index, runs about 30 to 40 basis points above the PCE price index, which is what the Fed formally targets. The reason CPI is biased upward is because of differences in the weighting methods.
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? What in the world is he talking about? Like what exactly is he? Does anyone else know what he's talking about? And they've eliminated a lot of them, but he's just I'm like, what the fuck? What
targets 30 to 40 basis points above the PCE price index.
PCE is what he said. Okay. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is the PCI? He thinks the Fed targets the PCE, which also doesn't look good. Isn't this just another form of... This is most definitely not the data that we would call primary, I think. If the Fed is using the BEA PCE to do inflationary policy, I'd be very concerned.
Which is what the Fed formally targets. The reason CPI is biased upward is because of differences in the weighting methods. But right now, that relationship is inverted by about a full percentage point. So you have to ask yourself...
It's inverted? So, if I'm not mistaken, don't we take the CPI and then we do something like I did in my model, which is what I'm looking for. You essentially categorize it into dollars, right? Because you have to do some formulaic math for that, right? I kind of like what I did in my model. That's essentially what's happening here. If I'm not mistaken, we're turning it into dollars and actual, instead of just percentage points, something that's more dollar orientated, or at least consumer orientated, right? Instead of just percentage points CPI shit. I don't know what he's literally just talking shit. Yeah.
What's driving that? Because if you just looked at core CPI, you'd feel much more comfortable.
Again, core CPI is literally not what do people care about when they for the PCE? Well, they certainly care about how much they spend on groceries and shit, right? Like, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at the PCE in forever, so basket in PCE. Personal expenditures. Okay, so this is not going to be, I think, including blah 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 blah. Whoa. Interesting. Trump ruined the PPI, by the way. He did pretty much discontinued it entirely, so that's obviously not going to help. Oh my god, I hate this website, dude. Fuck me. That's right, durable goods and non-durable goods. Okay.
So you'd have to ask yourself, I think, what's going on with PCE inflation that's moving it so much higher? To me, the answer is in large part measurement error. You've got these things like portfolio management prices that are causing 40 basis points of upward bias to PCE, helping to explain that one line alone explains 40% of the gap. And it's all measurement error.
Okay. That's quite the claim. 40 basis points are measurement errors. Okay. So what is the right basis points? Shiny bald head man?
Portfolio management prices have been in deflation for decades.
Portfolio management?
The gap, and it's all measurement error. Portfolio management prices have been...
Portfolio management prices. Is that what he said? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I'm just like, it's like that right there is an appeal to ignorance because I have no idea what he's talking about. But like, this doesn't seem like. Damn. This is, I mean, probably one of the reasons I don't have kids yet, and I want kids, is because I refuse to have a kid who goes through the same life I did, or anything close. So, the cost is probably one of the biggest reasons right now for me. But it's only 1% of the assets being managed. How is that going to make up 40 basis points of personal consumption expenditure? Like, I just don't, I have no idea how that makes sense.
Been in deflation 40% of upward bias. Got these things. The answer is in large part measurement error. You've got these things like portfolio management prices that are causing 40 basis points.
Portfolio management prices are causing 40 basis points of measurement error in personal consumption expenditure index. He's talking about the personal consumption expenditure index, though. Fucking this website, bro, sometimes. What does the P here mean? What does that mean? Preliminary. Okay. Does this have like an actual clear amount of? I mean, I don't really see. I mean, I'd like to go fucking earlier. Oh, this is new, so that's why. These are basis points here. It has not gone up 40 basis points, though, since Trump has been in office, though. Can we honestly say that 40 basis points of measurement error, is this even error? How do we know it's not? That doesn't make sense. No, I want specific to this, dude. No, what you linked is good. What you linked is good. Thank you. Fees have fallen dramatically. It seems like portfolio managers do produce higher basis points, right? I don't think this is something you can just cleanly slide into the argument that somehow the consumer price index, though, is just error because of this, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Of upward bias to PCE, helping to explain that one line alone explains 40% of the gap, and it's all measurement error.
I don't think 40 percentage points like that instantly translates to 40% of the gap of what you want it to be. That's gnarly.
Portfolio management prices have been in deflation for decades.
How would you define portfolio management, by the way? Would we say someone who does ETF management, portfolio management? It seems to me that there's quite a difference between basis points depending on like highly specific management. But I'm not too familiar with this.
Every year, there's a new article, ETF investors, fees go from 5 basis points to 4 basis points. That's 20% deflation, right? Instead, we've got a 40 basis point contribution. There's all...
This is really going to tell us how the price of meat is going down, isn't it?
Also noise.
Imagine, you know, fucking Molotov in here just told us how it's difficult to fucking like eat food because he has hungry teenagers he wants to feed first, you know, like a good father. And then you have shiny bald head man. It's like, actually, you're wrong. Meat is not going up, Mr. Molotov. What's actually happening is 40% of it's just index funds. It's just measurement error. Continue on. Like, okay, dude. Funny thing about inflation is that I do think most people don't actually have to know in depth about it to know when it's happening, but to talk about it, it does matter to know quite a lot about it, right? But I do think it's kind of gross, yeah, to be like, it's actually just measurement error when everyone in their fucking mother can go to the store and see that that is not true because they buy shit every day.
The software component.
Come on, man.
So the question is, why is the PCE CPI relationship so disjointed?
No, the question is, why is food so fucking expensive?
You need to ask yourself, is that actual inflation or is it a statistical aberration? To me, most of that inversion is just statistical noise. And that
he literally just completed what I was mocking him for. He just straight up completed what I was mocking him for.
That to me doesn't justify moving policy into restrictive.
Would the price of food justify moving policy away from? Maybe we're all wrong. I don't know. But why is food still going up? Can you please tell me why? And it's not 40 basis points of extremely wealthy index funds, or sorry, portfolio managers charging basis points.
I wish we could talk tariffs, and because a month ago you wrote something, but we don't have time. You got to come back and talk, because you say zero tariffs probably isn't the best case scenario. Historically, a low amount, or at least some monitoring what other countries are doing to us is something we need to do in connection.
Tariffs do not help you monitor other countries. Try the CIA. I don't know. What the fuck are you talking about? Tariffs are good if you, everyone knows it, and everyone knows now. Hold on, we just paid the. Oh wait, I thought you said how long are you gonna debate this guy? The third. Food is expensive to only people to accept bad job conditions. Okay. You want me to tell you the truth? Food is expensive and is more expensive even for people who are doing well. So if you want to understand how this actually works, someone who has a good job and is doing well, in my opinion, the economy is actually hurting them too. They just don't know it because relatively they look better to other people around them. Because that does matter. Even someone who would easily live far more comfortably and have far more savings 40 years ago, 50 years ago, owning a home off of whatever job they have. Someone who goes to school to get a special degree, get a nice job, can barely afford a home in 90% of this country right now. And for the people who do, they may feel good about it, but they're also not doing as well as they could be. You understand what I'm saying? I took it as you have like a hard. Sure, but I mean, we're talking about the U.S., right? The U.S. Is kind of a country that's not really at risk for famine. Oh, that guy, yeah, okay. There's been many times in my life where I didn't have money for food, so I get that part. But we're talking about economic policy, right? Greater economic policy. Like I was homeless for 3 years on concrete, and my frustration with that fact doesn't really matter. I shouldn't really bring that into like how I feel economic policy should be. I mean, you're welcome to believe what you want, Deltoid. Yeah, I mean, for about my entire life I've kind of been unstable because both my parents were out of my life pretty early on. But like actually homeless, as in my extremely old car that I got handed down to me, which was a really nice car per se. It just wasn't really a good car to have with no like parents. It was like an old muscle car. Lived in that for like a year and a half, and then like concrete for about a year and a half. I just finished my sentence. I didn't own the car really. And yeah. It was also wildly expensive because it had a 5.8 liter V8 in it. It looked like this. It was this car. Guess it was bittersweet, but about every month. It's a pretty rad car, guys. But the conditions in which I got the car was not, I'm not lying, were less than fortunate, I guess. This is a beautiful car. This is exactly what it looked like, actually. This is the same color and everything. I think the system... Yeah, now I drive a motorcycle. I think the system does need to change. I want radical economic change. And... Yep, by month. I just got my haircut, though. I literally just got it cut like 3 days ago. So obviously it's gonna be... I'm so confused, bro. Well, how am I lying? It does not make me a socialist. Although, Slayer, I would not be against more socialist policy if I knew, or it was reasonably, you could reasonably assume it would make everything better. It would be more optimal. Deltoid, I'm not gonna do that for you. Fuck you. Go ahead. I'll give you the link. Sounds nice. I fucked it up.
Actually help the tax situation, right?
Absolutely. Look.
Fuck you. I don't care. Back to I'm Amy Goodman.
Old former President
Back to none of this
Jair.
shit. I don't care. I actually have to get off, I think, pretty soon. You know what? I'll just play one song and then I'll get off. Because I have work, unfortunately. I have to go do that stuff. Go bake whatever I need to do to make money and survive. You have a funny video to show me? How long is it? And is it a video of Deltoid literally checking my Twitch streams to see if I actually did cut my hair 3 days ago? Because for some reason I would lie about that. Because that would be very funny.
A 9-year-old boy talking to his father. Daddy,
What the hell did die on? This looks kind of funny. I'm gonna play a song though, because I do have to get going. So I like playing songs. Will do. Yeah. Mumford & Sons? Dude, Synthwave is sick. What do you mean? Mumford & Sons is great, bro. This song? This is the one I remember. I will hold on hoping. You do like, right, Circa, I'm out. Right. Hey guys, thank you for watching, by the way. What a weird day though, little A. I refuse to believe that someone like that one guy is like real. I don't know, man. A weird way to live your life. I definitely would end it. I would end my own life. I couldn't do that. I actually like, even unironically. I know, but like even unironically, like trying to go into a chat to play that character to me, just like is self-revealing in and of itself, I think. You know what I mean? Like it's giving the game away. But I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching, okay? Peace out. A-Town. Usher.